This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by State Farm Insurance.
Well, it's a situation nobody wants to find themselves in. I can vouch for that firsthand. You're driving in your car when suddenly a deer sprints in front of you. You can't do anything but brace for impact. It happened to me 8 years ago, and it wasn't pretty.
Well, fortunately, you're okay, Sean. I've never actually hit a deer, but when I'm driving home, I often see herds of them in the fields, and you just never know when one might run out. And just like you, many people know all about it. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there are 1 million accidents involving deer each year. 200 people are killed and 10,000 others are injured. And just like you, Sean, the next couple we want to introduce you to got quite the scare.
Yeah, but they didn't have some of the protections that vehicles offer when you're on the road.
Fortunately, they lived to tell about it.
Denise and Brian Larson aren't traveling in their usual set of wheels.
I feel better on the motorcycle.
Instead, a borrowed minivan after their annual anniversary trip to join about 1 million other motorcyclists left Denise covered in bumps and bruises.
When they see me, they're like, oh my God.
The result of a deer's hoof hitting her right in the face.
I was rolling and then I slid and I could feel something hard hit me.
The couple was riding along a highway.
We generally drive the back roads just so that it's a safer way to travel. And we like traveling through small towns and taking in what they have to offer.
When Brian noticed a couple of deer on the side, already thinking ahead, he slowed way down on his bike.
I started to put the brakes on. We got down to about 30 miles an hour and the deer come right into us from the side.
Riders behind them watched as Denise was kicked in the head by a deer trying to jump over their bike, knocking them off.
Actually, the first thing I thought of is, okay, none of my teeth are broke.
Miraculously, no more injuries than the scrapes and bruises, thanks to thinking ahead, wearing helmets and other proper riding gear.
Wear your gear,
Yeah.
Always keep your eyes open, especially like this time of the year.
Now, the Larsons always pay extra attention.
Be aware of your surroundings.
We're alive, that's all that matters, so.
Bikes are replaceable. You can get a new one.
And Sean, it's safe to say it could have been a lot worse if Brian and Denise were not wearing their safety gear.
Yeah, Lisa, well, it could happen to anyone, especially this time of year.
But there are ways you can try to cut down your risk of colliding with a deer. Joining us today to tell us more is State Farm agent Gamey Elliott of Salisbury. Gamey, thank you for joining us
Thanks
this
for
afternoon.
having me.
All right, so our chances of getting in an incident with a deer are pretty high this time of year, aren't they?
They're actually 1 in 169, so that's a pretty high rate. And also, this is the time of year in October, November, and December when you can really run into a lot of deer. So just be extra careful this time of year. And also, this is when they're most prevalent. It's their mating season and several other things, so you just have to be extra careful this time of year.
And it actually doubles October, November, and December.
Exactly. This is a really key time, you know, with everything going on, to be extra careful, extra vigilant with deer out there.
And the claims for these deer crashes are not cheap.
They are not cheap. People don't realize it, but it can be over $4,000 a year for a deer when you hit a deer. So there are a lot of things that can happen, and that's one of the things that we want to make sure that you're extra careful, because it's not just $200, it's over $4,000 that it can be.
How about that? Okay, so let's talk prevention, because always that is key. There are ways that you can prevent these attacks, but you really got to know how the deer thinks, don't you?
Well, you got to know a couple of things about deer. Being from a rural area, I understand kind of a little bit more about it, but they're not only on rural back roads, although they mostly are, but they can also be in cities, towns, and on major highways. Also, deer are just unpredictable by nature, and so you just really want to be careful with that. And then they also travel in groups or in herds, as you say. It may not be the first deer or the second deer, but it might be the third deer, so you have to watch out for that. And then also, the highest risk time is dusk and dawn. They seem to like to feed during those times of day, so you have to be a little bit extra careful and really watch out for them. Be a vigilant driver.
So other than kind of knowing what the deer do or trying to predict what the deers are going to do, what are some of the steps you can take to keep yourself safe?
Well, a couple of things that you can do right away is you need to be extra careful in deer zones. You'll often see the signs, so keep an eye out for that. Also, we'd like you to slow down and wear your safety, your safety equipment, your seat belt or your helmet if you're on a motorcycle. Also, at nighttime, we encourage you to use your high beam headlights because, again, whenever possible, be looking for deer because they're out there. And we also ask that you avoid swerving because if you swerve, you may either run off the road into a tree or into oncoming traffic. We want you to try to stay in your lane whenever possible.
Now, I've seen some people put those whistles on the bumpers of their cars. Can we just do that?
You can try that, but our research shows that those have not been effective. So our company says don't rely on those because they may not work. But if they make you feel more comfortable, go for it. But just be careful out there.
So say we take all these steps. I mean, unfortunately, accidents do happen. So if you should collide with a deer, what do you do after the fact?
Well, probably the first thing we want you to do is to just get that car off the road into a safe area, a safe place. And we also like for you to contact the police as you may need to have the deer moved, or we don't want other accidents because of the deer. And also we want you to document the incident as much as you can because we need to know what happened and that type of thing. And also we want you to stay away from the injured deer. Sometimes it isn't dead and it might get up, as you saw in that previous clip, and with its really strong legs and sharp hooves, it can really hurt you. So it's a dangerous situation. So stay safe and watch out for those deer because they're everywhere this time of year.
Good advice. Gamey Elliott, State Farm Salisbury, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And to read more from State Farm Insurance about deer safety, go to our website, wboc.com, click on our picture at the top of the page. Now, something else that can be very dangerous, certain hand sanitizers. It's true. Up next, why alcohol-based sanitizers are posing a serious danger for kids at school.
But there's another danger when it comes to older kids, and it's landing many of them in the ER. Find out why parents may want to start being extra vigilant.
Plus, this trend has been going on for years. E-cigarettes or vaping. We hear about some potential regulation and why the FDA is skeptical to make a change. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.